Hey everybody, welcome to Two Simple Dudes. My name is John,
And I'm
and
Dale.
hey Dale, I'm glad to be with you today. I hope you had a good week.
Yeah, hope you did too.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was all good. My week went smooth. I didn't have any problems, and but that's the kind of life I live, Dale. I live a simple life. I don't
No
bring on.
stress, no stress.
I
I
don't
got you.
bring on. No, I don't. I don't. Oh, you're going to talk about stress today?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
take it away. Maybe I'll learn something. If I ever
All
have any
right.
stress in my life, I can use it.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm going to talk about today is about stress, worry, anxiety, that kind of things. There's chronic worriers out there, people who are stressed out about anything and everything. And I got to admit, at one time in my life, I was going to be a therapist and dug kind of deep into this and you name it. I didn't end up becoming a therapist. I decided, nah, this isn't for me. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about what it is and the cures. Really, focus on the cures for this that you might be interested in. And some of it will be things you've heard before, I think, but other things, nah, maybe not so much. First of all, stress, worry, it's lack of control. Is, in my opinion, there's some kind of threat and you just don't have a handle on this thing. And the more you don't have a handle on it, the more stress or anxiety you feel. I'll give you an idea. You're walking down the street and a lion appears. Now, if you're a lion trainer and you've worked with lions most of your adult life, you're probably not too stressed because you know what lions do, you know how to operate with them, and maybe you're just going to be fine with that. Somebody like me walking down the street and I see a lion, suddenly I got some problems because I don't know what I'm doing with those things, and I might just get eaten. Um, I want you to know that, and this is
Dale,
yes, yes,
Dale, Dale. Would would that be the carnivore diet in reverse?
yeah. Okay, folks, he's making fun of my carnivore diet. I am on the carnivore diet. Yes, that would be John. Hey, leave the
Okay.
jokes to me, okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey,
Uh, okay. I'll shut up now.
hey, I knew stress, anxiety, that kind of thing. It can lead to a lot of physical problems, not just mental problems. And I knew a guy who worked in a prison. He was put with about 180 convicts in a cell block that he had to manage.
Mm.
And let me tell you something. I mean, by the time help gets to you, you're probably dead if they decide that you need to die. He had all kinds of medical problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, you name it. And once he got out of that business, everything went back to normal. So, I mean, cortisol, that hormone that kind of makes you fat if it keeps active, yeah, worry, anxiety, stress, cortisol, not good. Um, I'll tell you one thing that I think may be the bottom line to this whole thing. If your heart and your mind are not in sync, uh, that's a terrible way to be. And here's what I mean. Um, you don't believe in cruelty to animals, but you work in a butcher shop, or you don't. You're afraid of heights, but you're an airline pilot, or you're doing something that really you don't want to do, um, you your spouse, your mate is cheating on you, and you don't believe people should cheat. Okay, well that's a very stressful situation. The first thing I'd tell you to do is rule out hormones and medical reasons for the anxiety and stress. When I say medical reasons, I mean I knew a woman long ago who was so filled with anxiety she couldn't even leave her room, and she didn't used to be like that. And there a lot of research was done, and I went and got her Capra Mineral Whey. Now I'm not saying to you that Capra Mineral Whey, it's a powder you can find at health food stores, is the answer to all things. But but we tried it, and she was out of her anxiety and stress after a week, where she had been in that mode for months. It does. The Capra Mineral Whey did something for stomach lining, and it's a long drawn out story, but it worked. She just took it in warm water every day, and it worked in a week. Um, that's the kind of result I'm sitting there going, wow, she wasn't on anxiety medications or anything like that. Um, you might suffer from OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And the way to determine that is just go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist and just say, hey, I want to check out to see why I'm so stressed all the time, why I worry all the time, etc. And there used to be a test called the MMPI test. It's the I think it was called the Minnesota Multiphasic Inventory. It was about 600 different questions. You would answer it, computer graded, and it could tell you, oh, you got anger problems, you got these problems, you got those problems, etc. And a pretty good test. And I don't know if they still use it, but psychs have tests that they can use um, to determine if there's any emotional mental problems that might be going on. Um, OCD, people have to be perfect. People can't step on cracks. They have to go up and down stairs several times before they can go up them and stay. There's a lot of things to that. Um, and side note, just this came to mind. I was talking to a psychiatrist one day, and he said he had a patient who would go blind due to stress. And I said, no, no, tell me that's not true. And he said, no, no, no. He'll come in, we'll talk him down, and the blindness goes away. I mean, stress and anxiety, serious stuff. So, yeah, go to the doctor. Don't be afraid of stigmas. I mean, I think the stigma of going to a shrink, psychologist, psychiatrist, I think those are over. And you say, well, what's the difference? Psychiatrists can prescribe medication. A psychologist, if it's still the way it used to be, does not prescribe medication. At least that was my understanding at one time. Um, the word worry means to strangle or choke. It's an Anglo-Saxon word, just a little trivia there. And I'll tell you what, lack of action to solve problems leads to worry a lot. You feel helpless. Your dreams do not equal what's really going on with your life. You wanted a better spouse and instead you got a dud or and I didn't go through that. I'm using it as an example. I mean, um, there's a million reasons why you can worry, but you
You've
don't
been
feel.
talking to my wife.
There you go. Well, uh, I'll tell you a story about a woman that came to me years and years ago, about 35 years ago. She came in and she said, I left a note to my boyfriend on my window because we had something going that way. It was fun, and I get a note and I realize this isn't from my boyfriend, and it was left on her windshield. And this guy was leaving notes, not her boyfriend, somebody else was leaving notes on her windshield and kind of stalking her. And she was really worried about this because she thought, what if I got some nut job on my back? Well, I said, look, you don't have a thing to worry about. And she said, what's going on? I said, look, all you got to do, so and so an apartment, whatever. She has enough camera equipment to start her own camera store. What you do, take a couple of days off, and she'd probably take them with you, and leave a note out there for Romeo. And when he drives up, you got these zoom lenses. You're taking pictures. You're getting him. You're getting his truck or car, and you're getting everything you need about him, especially his license plate. And you could see the stress come right out of her because she had an action she could do. When we don't take actions, it paralyzes us really, and we get stressed out with worry. Jobs you hate. How many people hate their jobs? Tons of people. And the call to action there is to find a different job. Well, I don't think I could make as much money as I do, or what if it's worse? Look, if all you have to say is, if I keep doing this, what's going to happen to me? No, start finding a different job, or start working towards it, taking some kind of action, and that'll help stress and worry quite a bit, I think. Um, Oh, by the way, on the girl, they did stake out the car. Uh, the guy did show up. They got his license plate. He was driving a truck, and they knew a cop, and they turned all that into the cop, and the cop then gave them his name, his address, his wife's name, all this, and so the next note was enough to make this guy run off and never come back. So there's the end of that story. Um,
She,
Again, I would
she
say
probably
that.
put his name on it, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. Hi Fred. Whatever it was. But when it comes to therapy, remember, I think the stigma's gone that we faced 50, 40, 30 years ago. A lot of people have had to go through counseling. Now, this comes from Norman Vincent Peale, How to Stop Worrying and Stop Living, I think the name of the book was. But it's one of those books that just keeps being sold. The worst thing that could happen, ask yourself that. In this situation, what's the worst thing that could happen? If you can live with that, why are you worrying? But if you can't live with that, okay, then work to minimize it, change it, etc. I've also found that worry, anxiety, stress, it can be an attitude thing. And what I mean, there was a guy that would, he had a coping statement, is what it's called. He would say to himself, "Ain't nothing I can't handle," and that was his coping statement on anything that happened. And yes, that does have a positive effect on you, absolutely. Now, some other things you might want to come up with a coping statement. One more. I knew a guy who was really having trouble finding a job, and he believed in the law of attraction. So he came up with the saying, the perfect job and the perfect pay is coming my way quickly. And when he started doing that several times a day, guess what? He got a call. Not he didn't have to seek them out. They sought him out, hired him, and it was a wonderful job. If you believe in that kind of thing, or that it's possible, which I believe in that, then you might try it. The other thing, dump the load. Dump the load. And what I mean by that is learn how to say no to things that you just don't want to do. Okay, at jobs, you may not be able to say no, but in everything else, well, can you run the kids to soccer? We're busy. No, I can't, because I'm about to explode. Blood is about to squirt out of my ears if I add one more thing to my life. So learn how to explain it. Just say, right now I can't handle it. My load is full. Get rid of the news. You know what? If that's a trigger to you, listening to all the horrible things that's going on in the world, just get rid of the news. Don't listen to it. Yeah, maybe not knowing is the best. I was teaching at the FBI years ago, and I'll never forget this agent from Washington D.C. had come into our office, and so I'm teaching the group, and on a break, how do you like the town? How do you like this office? And she said, you people have no idea what's going out there, the population. And I said, I'm not sure we want to know as a population what's going on out there. So the moral of that story, folks, is yeah, cut the news. If that's a trigger, get rid of it. And speaking of triggers, things that cause you anxiety, stress, whatever, avoid them. List them. Think about, okay, if I could get rid of what triggers would I get rid of? My mother-in-law bugging me, my kid is out of control. What are the triggers that are just tearing apart my life? And try to eliminate or avoid those triggers. Now, this next idea comes from Let's Fix the Kids. There was an audio tape series out there like that, and I got to hear one of the tapes. And I cannot remember the author, I'm sorry, but he made a very good point by telling a story. He said, don't let others' problems be yours. And so many times we light ourselves on fire just to keep everybody else warm, and it doesn't do us any favors. He gave the story of a dad and a son. The dad kept bailing the son out of jail. The son was just a mess. The son it just out of control. And finally, the dad had had enough. He just couldn't take it anymore. Plus, he was broke. And so he came to the son, sat down, and he said, I want you to know that I'm broke. I cannot bail you out of jail anymore. I can't get you out of trouble. Really, you're on your own. You've done this enough. You know what we do. When you get into trouble, you get thrown in jail. You got to call for a bail bondsman and all this other stuff. Well, the kid kind of blew him off, I guess. And later on, the kid got into trouble, calls home to dad, hey, you got to get me out of this. And he said, I'm sorry, son. I told you, I don't have the money. I really don't. I don't have the ability to do it. You're going to have to handle this yourself. And what happened was, call it a tough love, whatever you want to call it. The kid straightened up after that because he had to handle everything. And I don't know if it was a few nights in jail or what that did it, but he didn't like going through it when he had to solve his own problem. And John, let's see, another thought. Don't stay strung up. Take a bow and arrow, a bow. They got to unstring those bows, or they won't be able to be as powerful on the pullback, and your arrow won't go as far. They have to unstring the bow. Um, Dump what you have to dump, but be careful there. I mean, you want to dump the right things and not the wrong things, and only you know what that is. Now, there's other things that we've always heard: walking, meditation. Um, get your head and your heart in sync. If you don't believe in the job you do, and you feel like this is, if they're asking you to be dishonest and you're in your heart you're not a dishonest person, okay, you got to get out of that. You really do. It's just going to cause you stress. There was a guy years ago, probably 40 years ago, that, I'm showing how old I am. His dad wanted him to be a dentist. Why? Well, the dad was a dentist. And this guy was failing miserably at college as trying to be a dentist. And we were talking, and I just said, you don't want to be a dentist at all, do you? And he said, no, I really don't. And I said, well, that's your problem. You're doing it for who? Your dad. And he just needed to talk to somebody and get some clarification, and he got out of it. I don't know what he did, but hopefully he landed on his feet on that. But I would not have wanted him to work on my teeth with the terrible aptitude he had for being a dentist and the attitude he had. Now, I want to emphasize one more thing: coping statements. Even though I've said it already, I'll say it again. Um, the one guy who said, "Ain't nothing I can't handle. Ain't nothing we can't handle." That gave him courage. Call it a mind game, yeah. A lot of stress and anxiety, sometimes that's mind games going on. You think something's going to be far worse than it is. And by the way, another stat from Norman Vincent Peale: 80% of what we worry about does not happen. Now, they may be going with the old 80-20 rule there. I don't know if they really did a survey that came out 80% or not. But anyway, for what that's worth, I'd agree with it. Most of what we worry about does not happen. And the last thought I would give you, because, I used to teach day-long seminars on stress management, and it can go much deeper, but be winning at something. And here's what I mean. It might be as simple as at the end of the day, you've got ice cream waiting for you, which probably isn't the best winning. You're going to put on weight and stuff like that. I
Unless
don't
it's
think
Rocky Road. Rocky Road is worth the price.
absolutely. I can forgive that, I guess. But no, be winning at something and have something you're going to be looking forward to. I don't know. It may be sitting out on the porch and watching the sun go down. But something that you enjoy each day, and it doesn't have to be something big. Um, and again, working to eliminate the problem, the trigger, the thing that's causing the worry, the anxiety, whatever. Now you say, well, Dale, my head's cloudy, my thinking. Um, I don't think I could pull off any of this. I'm just not running on all cylinders. Okay, well, get yourself then to a medical doctor, rule out hormones and anything else that could be causing anxiety. And I'm not saying that hormones are it. It's just that, there could be a medical problem there, is really what I'm saying. Also, get to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Well, I'm broke. I don't have any money. Well, if you can afford, I mean, if you're sinking, if you can afford on a credit card to go and set aside, I don't know, $500,000. I don't, and you're able, and you tell the psych or the doctor, hey, I don't have a lot of money here. What can you do for me? Yeah, chances are they might put you on drugs, but if they do, it's look at it as just a crutch and a band-aid until you can get your act together and start trimming away at the triggers and the problems, etc. Now, these are just ideas, folks. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I was interested in it, but that does not make me a licensed anything. I'm not. But some ideas based on what I've seen, my observations, based on what I learned. I hope you can. I hope you can benefit from this conversation, and leave us an email. We just started this channel not long ago. We've got no emails, no subscribers, but that's because I think we're new or we're boring. I don't know which. But if you like this, or if you have some suggestions or ideas or what have you, yeah, leave us a comment, and our email address. John, you're going to have to help me here. Oh no, you're not going to have to help me. It's observe two old guys at gmail.com. Drop us an email if you don't want to leave a comment, and ideas for what you'd like to hear about. How's your stress going? What did you do to lick it? What did you do to fix something that was giving you intense worry or an anxiety? If you feel like sharing, you can certainly do that. We may read these in the podcast, but only with your permission. Um, so, John, let me turn it back to you. Any questions? Any thoughts?
Yeah, it was good, Dale. I appreciate that. The thing that comes to mind for me is what I used to call, or I think they call cognitive dissonance,
Yes.
where you've got a conflict of a belief or what you're experiencing versus what you're doing. And I know people can have that. I've heard that term used when people are talking sometimes about religion or politics, or maybe they're going through a change that they believe they need to make, and it runs contrary to what they've been doing, but or maybe they're surrounded by people that are one way and they used to be that way, but now they're another way because of their experience. Can cause some cognitive dissonance, I believe, is what that's called. Do you have any experience with that, Dale, or does that make sense
Well,
to you?
yeah, head and heart out of sync is what I called it here, and what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really don't want to be going against your morals. You don't want to be going against your heartfelt beliefs. If you're somebody who believes you got to be in church every Sunday, if you don't go to church every Sunday, that's going to probably give you some problems. Just to simplify it with an example, if I hate hunting, let's say, and I don't believe they should hurt Bambi, but but I've got to go out with my dad and I've got to shoot a buck. Okay, that's going to cause some problems, and he expects me to go with him every year and do that. Um, well, you can miss, but you're going to watch him do it, and he's not going to miss probably, and that's going to cause you some anxiety. And it's time to be honest with Dad and say, hey, I don't believe in hunting, or I don't like doing that, or whatever. I,
Mm-hmm.
I think in my younger years, I think there was one thing I wished I did better, and just say it. It just was able to say, I don't want to do it. Um,
And that's a big part of it, isn't it? That's
it
and
really
that
is.
creates
The
some
answer is
stress,
no.
but it
I'm
can.
not. I'm not going to put up with it.
Mm-hmm. And that happens sometimes when you meet new people. Maybe you're surrounded by some new people at work, and there can be some differences of personalities. Most certainly when you find a new job, so you can find this kind of conflict in every kind of environment, whether it's in your family, or work, or neighbors. Sometimes you just have to say no. That's not me. That's not what I'm interested in, or not what I do. You got to do it.
Well, and sometimes what we find is that people never left the playground at school. In other words, you become an adult, you get a job, and you still have bully bosses. You still have bully coworkers, people who pull hair, people who put gum in your hair, people who put a tack in your chair, and but it's in adult form, where the tack in your chair is, oh, I'm just going to hand you my work and make you do it, or else. Or I'm going to slander you at work and make everybody think that you're a horrible person unless you let me put you under my control. And no, there are people who won't put up with that. And when it's interesting, criminals look for easy targets. I mean, in a crowd of people, they're looking for somebody they think they can take down, do what they want to with, and not get caught. Well, bullies do the same thing. And if they know you're going to stand up, and if you're going to ring the bells, and you're going to you're not going to be an easy takedown, then they're likely to leave you alone. Um, we People live with things. I've known of people in marriages who lived with adultery in their spouse not being faithful, but they're faithful. And but well, if I believe the kids should be together with their father or their mother. So I'm doing this for the kids, or I'm doing this for because in our religion we don't get divorced, and abuse. Oh my
Right.
gosh, that happens all the time. Verbal abuse, physical abuse, both, whatever. As a matter of fact, I was talking not long ago with a lady who her husband got her addicted to meth, and and kind of forced it down her throat. And I don't know, I don't really want to go into the details, but anyway, it's one of those things where, yeah, she finally did get off of it, but the meth thing really screws with her life,
Mm.
even all these years later. And
Yeah, that can be a real problem.
yeah, and it's, you say, well, go to therapy, and that's true. Couples do go to therapy, and there is forgiveness, and people quit cheating, and all that other stuff. But if it's something you just can't handle, and it's destroying your life, and the phrase I learned off some YouTube video was quit setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Destroying
Mm.
yourself. So, I mean, let's face it, if you go down and and that means your kids are going to go down, you can't keep doing that if you love your kids, right? So maybe what you need to do is fix yourself since you're the lifeboat, so that yeah, temporarily the kids will suffer, but when you get back up and you can then be the parent you want to be with the kids, then they're going to benefit. Now, I don't know what that looks like because it's different in all kinds of cases, and you need to talk to a licensed professional about that. But there's a lot of it's like a pebble in your shoe. A lot of people live with pebbles and rocks in their shoes, and it hurts to walk, but they've got to walk, and they just live with it, and they're just miserable. And so I
Yep.
say you got
Well,
to blow the whistle.
one thing I was going to say too is I really have admiration for people that have spouses who have Alzheimer's or dementias, and they're their caretaker. But you got to take care of yourself as well, right?
Well, that's right. And so they'll enlist family or friends or whatever um, to try to help them out and give them breaks. But boy, just don't abuse those breaks, because if yeah, I'll be back in 30 minutes and you're gone for 4 hours. They're never going to help you again. I wouldn't. So things like that.
Well, for all that, appreciate that. Sharing some of a few of your experiences, maybe, or what you've gained in experience in life and helping other people. Sometimes just being a good friend and listening to somebody can help them quite a bit. And it might also make you aware of any future traps you might encounter, right?
Right. And I better end by saying I might be wrong about your situation, whoever you are. So go to a licensed professional. Don't worry about stigmas. Okay, John.
All right. Well, I'm John,
I'm Dale.
and thank you everybody for being with us. Please do send us an email if you've got any questions or things you'd like to hear us talk about, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.